wrong one. Let me just get myself into position, so to speak, as the bishop said to the actress. Just let's have a do-da. That's that. I say, we'll have an update about EE this evening. Right. We'll do parish notes very quickly. Because, just because, and I was late because I was sorting out my my hibiscus for this evening, and my notes. It's all a bit weird today. It's all a bit odd, to be fair. So I just need to get everything in place. Yes, get rid of that. Thank you very much. La-di-bloody-da. Oh, right. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. It's a busy old place this evening. It is a multi-faith, multi-dimensional, but mainly Christian body of the Kirk. Everybody's welcome because it is a broad church. So, and calm. So let me get into some, yes, we know it's April 23rd. It's our day. We are going to talk about those, how can I describe them? Fuckwits in the Pink Palace. The clowns, clown world. Simply because we found out the true colours of the cuckold. Prime Minister. Because, Kemi Badenoch was wearing a strap-on at PMQs today because she stuck it right up him. Mind you, he probably would have enjoyed it. Phil the Van says he's in first. Welcome, Phil the Van, first. Cuban Pete, second. So the keen ones are in. Not sure if you how you celebrated today, but we will be, of course, very St. George's centric this evening because he was a Knight Templar. As much as they will try and besmirch his name and say, oh, he's from Lebanon. Well, if you look at Switzerland and Georgia and Portugal, he's a bit of a boy. So we will, just off the top of my head, stuff that I know. Les Griffith says, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Dark Necessities. Oh, I say, I've been there too, Les. Scotty Martin, Rumble. Is that code or something, Les? Garen Davis. Oh, let's have it. Come on, let's have it. Welcome, Garen. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. We'll have a little Shakespeare in a moment because I do believe it should really be the only way to start a live on St. George's Day. Stuart says, evening, Rev. Sister Mary wants to know why you keep saying Battenberg makes you smell nice. And fragrant. I said, well, Sister Mary, it's like this. It's the politest way I can describe it. It's your body burps will smell nicer. It's not just the body burps, Stuart. Well, according to what I know via former BBC radio presenters. Quite. Louise Hampson, evening all, yeah, wrong-uns. Evening, Louise. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. Andrew James, thank you for the email, Andrew. Really appreciate it. Haven't had time to reply. Very, very, very busy today. Andrew says, my local theatre have 5 tickets left for the Taylor Swift tribute, if you're interested. No. Also, how the heck can Sugar Babes be called a band? According to the media, they're a group. Bands play. Sugar Babes don't. Well, it depends what they're playing. Pink oboe. Kaz987, evening all. Hope the Rev managed to turn EE into Foxtrot Oscar. Oh no, I'll tell you about it in a second, Kaz, because it's still, we still haven't rectified it. In fact, I would wreck their fied if I could get my hands on them. Evening, Rev. I hope you've given EE a good sermon. I did yesterday, kind of. But I'll tell you the story in a second. Hang on, Stuart says, I hope you saw my my comments on the last live about checking the YouTube app for a setting called mirror front camera switch. That's setting off. It's there. That should solve the reverse camera problem. Oh, Stuart, you're talking to a complete technophobe, man. So I spent the best part of a lifetime this afternoon because I did see somebody on the live on Monday say that. So I thought, well, I'll have a look. I spent ages, couldn't see it, couldn't find it. Still haven't managed to turn it around. But any help will be greatly received and faithfully applied, Stuart, because I couldn't find it. Couldn't find the switch. Not the first time. I can find the island, Lesbos, though. Tom Harley says, evening all. Happy St. George's Day. As a wise man once said, time to give the Battenberg a shake, you utter wrong'uns. Oh, no, we can't give the Battenberg a shake. The auto wine might need invigorating, nothing adding. Oh, should be the live settings, Rev, says Stuart. Well, I'm live now, man, Stuart. So I'll have to have a look at it tomorrow. So welcome, one and all. Thank you to all the legendary Battenbergers that continue to support the channel. I haven't got any names this evening, but I will rectify that for the next live. I will tell you that, well, it's a technical term that we use in radio, but I'm out on the lash on Sunday. I'm actually at a wedding, and it's a black tie thing. Black tie. I've got to get me DJ on and Diggy Bo. So there will be no live, but I have got something else for you. And I think you might enjoy it. So you're going to have to wait because I'll put a promo up in the morning. So there will be something for you on Sunday. It just won't be my ugly fizzog live. That's all. The next live is next Wednesday. If I manage to not have a hangover that lasts till Wednesday, of course. And there have been a few of those in the past, let me tell you. Hang on. Andrew James says, David Lammy has tweeted a St. George's Day message. It's clear he has a PR team. This is the man that in 2013 when they, has Frank been, Pope Frank, has he been in office like 12 years? Is it really that long? No, it feels shorter than that. But he genuinely tweeted something about the black smoke and the white smoke and the smoke being racist. You just can't make it up. You can't. I mean, next thing he'll be telling us, he's on Mount Jaro. That's a bit of a mountain in Africa, seemingly. Nicky Watson, evening, Adrian. Happy St. George's Day to all. Happy St. George's Day to everyone that's in the body of the Kirk. Bit low on numbers this evening. What's going on? If you could wipe your feet on the way in, not on the way out, you're wronging, and smash the likes on the way in, please, because we didn't get to our usual numbers over the last few evenings. But tonight, it's going to be. It's going to be. We're back to the usual malarkey, but to start this evening's. Andy B's in Kent. Welcome, Andy. Hang on a second. Let me just work out. English bottle cap. Good to see you back, young English bottle cap, especially on St. George's Day. Anybody know where In the Field's gone? Last couple of lives, they've not appeared, which is unusual. And I hate it when regulars, if there's no way of contacting them to make sure that they're okay. Andy Turner says, I read the police now, if the DPS, the vetting is found to have any criminal activity, will be sacked. That will be most of the force gone then. Will never happen. I think what you're talking about, Andy, is maybe about a month or so ago. I'll put it in my notes. A month or so ago, somebody from the Met took the Met to court. Hang on, I'm going to clear my glasses while I talk to you. Took the Met to court for some kind of unfair dismissal because they'd been they hadn't been arrested, they hadn't been charged, but there'd just been some kind of stuff in the background, and the Met said, well, your vetting's not very good. So there's this in the background, but not being interviewed, not being charged, not being jailed, not being found guilty, nothing in a court of law. And they said, you're gone. So this police officer took the Met to the High Court and won. And the Met was like, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that. And evidently the Met are now going to have to pay compensation. So in the aftermath of that finding at the High Court, the government was like, we've got to change the law. We've got to change the law. And they've done it within weeks. So now a new law comes in May. And this is kind of, I'm paraphrasing what they're saying, but I'll tell you that the police are corrupt. The police, categorically, in my view, are corrupt. And I'm going to tell you how. So, to get any job, whether it's a civvy or a police officer role with any police force, you have to be vetted. So, if the lazy tarts in the vetting department don't vet you, you get your job. If there's any criminality in your background, and then if somebody goes, I've heard this, and they dig into your background and there's stuff in there, then they're just going to sack you. That's brilliant, Ray Norton. My mate got sacked from Blackpool Pleasure Beach. He took them to court for fun fair dismissal. Brilliant. Les Griffiths, it's Supreme Court ruling negates confused police officer recruiting. So, and I will look this. So what is happening is the vetting unit within any police force, they can dig into your background. If they find anything, they don't have to give you an excuse. Now with this new law, they'll just sack people. On you go. We found something. You're sacked. But the vetting unit should have done the vetting at the beginning to allow them in the police force in the first place. Now, if they've been in, say, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and they've hidden something, and then they go and find something, I think from, because it's in all the newspapers today, from what I've read, they're saying that if you have financial troubles, then they can revoke your vetting. They'll have a look at, because evidently that's, according to the newspapers, that's a police officer or anyone that's in financial trouble might be an easy target for OCGs. Don't need to go into it any further. But it looks like that the police forces are looking to their vetting unit to try and get rid of bad cops. Let's just word it that way. Well, we both know that one bad apple can spoil the whole barrel. But if they've been vetted at the beginning of their career with policing, as I say, both civvy and officer ranks are subject to a vetting check prior to being offered their role or job with the police. Every single force, because there's loads of them. It's not one force. It's via the almost county boundaries. So now, because the Met got a bit pissed off that somebody had taken them to the High Court and the Met lost, we're appealing it. We're definitely appealing it. Well, the High Court is going to rule on that in due course. The government, who weren't happy because they were giving all the power to the vetting units to sack a whole load of people who were wholly innocent, because the vetting unit are God. What we say goes. Do not argue. Do not take us to court, because we're the fucking vetting unit. We can do whatever we want. Corrupt. That's what they are, in my view. Corrupt. So they are this one officer that one at the High Court is going to have to pay substantial damages. I would suggest that what they're going to do is they're going to put this in place, and I bet you they'll put in the law somewhere this new law that it's got to be smoke and mirrors, as Andy Turner says. Absolutely correct. All smoke and mirrors. What I would do, in my view, is I'd get all these desk jockeys out from behind the desks. Anybody from chief inspector upwards to chief constable needs to go out on the street and start rolling around with the scroats. Start going to knife crime. Start going to the really shitty jobs that cops have to deal with, because those desk jockeys just sit there tugging one out, absolutely doing nothing all day bloody day. They're politicians, they're not police officers, but they were when they started. So if we need any more officers on the streets, I would suggest anyone from chief inspector upwards should get their cap on and get out on the streets and start dealing with real crime, not because they'll never do with political crime, the grifters in the Pink Palace. No. Les Griffith says, it's time police officers lost qualified immunity and paid personally for malfeasance in office. Les, I agree with you, but I'll tell you this as a matter of fact, because I know quite a few of the thin blue line. It's not the response cops, the cops on the streets, that are using malfeasance in office. Anybody from inspector upwards, no, maybe not, chief inspector upwards, they're the ones you need to be having a look at for malfeasance in office. Big time. Now, it's just my personal view from people that I speak to, and I know what's what, because I've got lots of friends that happen to be in the job. Andrew James, Des Ashton, perhaps the Pope will be announced with a puff of pink smoke. Very good. Andrew James says the Black Union flag that the police wear is worn by cops who are part of a gang. If cops can get away with it, they will, just like the politicians, just like anybody in society. If they think they're never going to get caught, like if somebody's going to be diddling away and they think that they can have their wicked way with a neighbour or somebody else, if they think they're not going to get caught, they'll do it. That's just life. That's just the human condition. But I'm telling you, according to Les Griffiths, senior officers should work their way up through the ranks, not be appointed straight from uni. And there is a fast track. I'm aware of certain forces using fast track. But I'll say this again. I do believe that they put this law in place because there's political will mixed up in this. And the politicians said, oh, yeah, we're going to get rid of, after the couple of cops that were sacked, one because of Sarah Everard's abduction and murder, and another one was just horrible. They're using that against the response cops. As I say, there's wrong-uns in the police. And I will also say that there are genuine cops, male and female, who are doing a fantastic job in the face of the most egregious provocation. Anybody that's got any grievance against the police, I would say put a uniform on and we'll send you out on a Friday and a Saturday night. You go rolling around with the scroats on the floor. Then tell me whether you think that because if anything goes on, first people you call is the police. You'll criticise them now, but first thing you'll do is, hello, is that the police? Emergency, I need you here now. So I think Stuart's saying, me and my best mate got stopped by the police a few years ago because he didn't indicate when turning. He started getting cheeky with them and they had to tell him to shut up. I had to tell him to shut up in case they arrested him. Well, the cops will tell you this. the first thing that they do is see if you'll pass the attitude test. Because a lot of cops, without being disingenuous, are lazy. They have to get the job done, but a lot of them are lazy. Les Griffith says, Adrian, you should experience West Yorkshire Police. You would change your tune. Probably. I mean, I worked in Leeds. I worked for Air FM for a while. Although I didn't come across West Yorkshire Police. Like I say, in life, the truism is that if anybody can get away with it, and they know they can get away with it, they'll try and get away with it. But this law that they're pushing through, it's a political will. They're getting the vetting unit to do it. They've found a way to sack people without them taking them to court for unfair dismissal. Your vetting's been revoked. Means you can't do your job. That means that you're sacked. Lauren Taylor says, correct. Never invited to a party, though. Corruption is rife in most forces, says Cuban Pete. If they were decent officers, they would kick against two-tier justice. Les, they've got no power. They've literally got no power because they have to do as the sergeant says, and the sergeants have to do as the inspector says, and the inspector has to do as the chief inspector says, or the chief of inspectors. The shit flows down the way, never goes up the way. That's why these desk jockeys need to get out, and if they're complaining that there's not enough cops, get the desk jockeys out. Just do it once a fortnight or once a month. But get them out on a Friday and a Saturday night, the busiest nights of the week, and get them to do some policing. Not tick boxing or box ticking. No box ticking. No. Do it and see the reality of what it's like. And as I've said to you, I know that everybody will have stories. It's Ulysses Severiou. Welcome. Yeah, wrong. Ray Norton. Rolf Harris went on Stars in Your Eyes as wanted to do Two Little Boys one more time. Jesus. Anyway. So that law is going to mean a load of officers who were vetted to get into the force, and they're going to start trawling around before they joined the force and to find stuff to get rid of them. Sounds corrupt to me. But if you look at the political will and the parasitical classes, all of that's going on in the background, and the politicians are saying to the blue politicians, get your act together and start sacking some cops. Now, in the case of the two utter wrong-uns from the Met Police, the officer that abducted and murdered Sarah Everard, quite right. But they will be dealt with, is as far as I'm going to go. But you have no idea what frontline cops have to deal with. I agree with you. There are bad apples, but you have no idea. British Army have stood up to Starmer and told him, no, we won't be slaves. Not exactly, but why should they? Plus India have given Pakistan nationals 48 hours to leave the country. I've got a pop-eyed wazza. We're going to talk about it this evening. But just before we get into the Catholic Church, Pope on a rope, I did tell you he was dead. And people were like, oh, he'd be telling us. Lauren Taylor says, I'm ashamed to say I was an officer. Mind you, I'm ashamed to be British. Oh, the country's gone to shite, man, Lauren. It's... for the whole of this live tonight, I want to... It's almost... Yes, it's a flow of consciousness, but I want to... There's certain touch points I want to get to, like Starmer the cook. And that's not with a double O, by the way. It's cook-old. And I want to touch on things that, although it's our day, and I saw George Galloway. George Galloway is Scottish. George Galloway is Scottish. Do you want me to say this again? George Galloway is Scottish and was acting like he was St. George. And he put a meme up, and I was thinking, hang on, is he a Weege? Galloway? He's from West, he's not from the East. And I got very confused that how can a Scotsman claim to be an Englishman, claim to say that St. George's Day is his day? Or maybe I'm just being naive and thick, not sure. But I looked at it and I thought, nah, George, you're Scots. You've got your own day. Foxtrot Oscar. Andy Turner makes a very good point. I think it's to make the public feel safe and trust the police. That's never going to happen. Considering what happened in Southport, considering the knocking on people's doors and having people away to jail for posting memes. But the cops at the pointy end are just following orders. I mean, I know they said that about the Nazis. Wow, Lauren. Of course you would. I had to ask permission to marry my husband, also a copper, 1976. Of course, because I mean, I know it's 2025, but don't they have, according to my friends, who, again, like you and your husband, Lauren, married as cops, they can't put them on opposite shifts because you literally wouldn't see each other. And it's it's the job. I'm not going to go into it any further, but interesting. I'm very well aware of that. Sometimes cops they can go to the chief constable because I know this recently. A friend of mine wanted to get married, so said, "I want this time off." The line manager, sergeant or inspector said, "No, you can't. We haven't got enough cops." And they said, "But I want to get married." No. And I said to him, "Tell him, write to the chief constable and say, I want to get married and I want the time off." Because then the inspectors or chief inspectors will have to work it so that they can have the time off. Because there are certain things that you are allowed to be able to do, like get married. And your gaffers above you, sergeants and inspectors, can't turn around and say no. Les Griffiths says senior officers seldom face justice. They just retire early. Yeah. Hillsborough. Pop-eyed was that secret visit recently to Southport. What was that about? Because he's an arse. He's an arse of a clown. He, at that level, he thinks he can do what the hell he likes. But it's coming in 10 days, 1st of May. Local council elections. I have got some figures which I will get, certain touch points I'll get to this evening. But I just thought that, hang on, Even Stephen says, where's Kate? Her and William didn't attend the Easter service with Charles and Camilla, and she is not attending the Pope's funeral with William. Starmer bag? Anybody? Bon says, St. George was not English, he was Turkish. He was a crusader. Don't matter to me whether he's English or not. He's the patron saint of England. He's also the patron saint of Georgia. Have you noticed their flag? So as much as people will kind of... it always works this way. When it's Paddy's Day, we all drink Guinness and we're all happy and love a bit of crack. When it's St. David's Day, everybody loves the Welsh. When it's St. Andrew's Day, everybody loves the Scots. It comes to St. George's Day, and everybody comes out and tries to do our knees. Well, I'm not having it. St. Andrew wasn't Scottish. Well, St. David's wasn't Welsh. Simon Temples was a saint. It's Simon Templar. He was the saint. Only the saint. So I thought I'd just read something to stir the juices, to get you going. And I thought, St. George's Day, let's have it. So if you're sitting comfortably, once more unto the breach, dear friends. Once more. Or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of a tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature and hard-favoured rage. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let pry through the portage of the head, like the brass cannon, let the brow o'erwhelm it as fearfully as doth a gulled rock. O'erhang and jutty his confounded base, swilled with the wild and wasteful ocean. Now set the teeth and stretch the nostril wide. Hold hard the breath, and bend up every spirit to his full height. On, you noblest English, whose blood is fet from fathers of war-proof. Fathers, like so many Alexanders, have in these parts from morn till even fought and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonour not your mothers, now attest that those whom you called fathers did beget you. Be copy now to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeoman, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the mettle of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble lustre in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit, and upon this charge cry God for Harry, England and St. George. Said a spokesperson. Sam, you must have been on the beer. Either that or you've got a chromosome mission. Oh, evening, Rambo. I'm not sure if anybody... Garen Davis says you would be good at reading audiobooks. You're very kind, Garen. Did anybody go to the St. George's Day Parade at at Trafalgar Square today in London? Luke says you can't whack a bit of shaky. No, I know. It certainly got the blood flowing for me. Very nice, Adrian. Sadly, the majority won't know what you're on about. I know, Les, but, you know, still got to do it. England's greatest writer. Schools now trying to get rid of him. Bastards. Oi, oi, oi. Ruddy Elaide, very Olivia. Thank you, Soul Rebel. I mean, I wasn't looking for any kind of... I just wanted to get you in the mood, baby. Fatal Racing Driver, Henry V, very nice. I know, it always works for me. Andrew James says, you need a passport for London, Rev. Can I say that? Yeah, you can. Say anything you want. Wrath of the Awakened Saxon. Oh, I know. The Vikings. I mean, I have said many times that my lineage on my mum's side, my mum's side, not my dad's side, we were, on my dad's side, we were just sheep shaggers and horse thieves in the borders around about the turn of the 1st century. But on my mum's side, we go back to Rollo and the Viking invaders via a little bit of France, as Alain with a Y. Hang on, Sam, St. George's Day's on the 28th. Sam, honestly, have you been sniffing the barmaid's apron or something? It's the 23rd in this country. Are you not English, Sam? Are you a foreigner? Interloper? Tom Harney's, we have interlopers, methinks. I think we might do, Tom. It is definitely, absolutely, categorically 23rd. Mind you, if you are the Mayor of London, Carnage, he had St. George's Day on Monday, on the bank holiday Monday, where you had to pay £14.50 for fish and chips. in Trafalgar Square. £14.50. Jesus, I know I'm a tight northerner, but £14.50. I'd want a sack of spuds. I'd want fish the size of a whale, and I would want to have me wicked way with somebody that was serving it. £14.50. Hang on. Church is saying they've moved it the 28th. Right, I'm very confused here. St. George's Day always has been, for my 60-odd years, April 23rd, St. George's Day. But seemingly, and Dale's not someone that normally would get anything wrong, Google it, St. George's Day, 28th. But that's the Yanks, man, that's Google. Since when do we believe Google? Hang on, they might cut me off now. English bottle cap. What? No mushy peas? Well, yeah, but you don't want too many of them. Otherwise, you'll be farting as you walk. Don't forget the fish and chip scraps for 50p. Oh, Andrew, stop it, you tart. Too close to Easter, so they've moved it. Says Cuban Pete. Hang on, they can't. Are these? Stuart says £14.50. It's cheaper to make them yourself from scratch. It's cheaper to go on holiday, catch the fish, bring it back, and then cook the chips. Burlington Bertie, according to Google, it's the 28th. Well, let me just say this because it's in my view, because I've been following it, but Google's AI is pretty shite. It's too woke. So they can't move it to the 28th, which would be, hang on, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Next Monday. I mean, do you believe the Daily Express? I mean, we all better check the calendar, make sure it's not April 1st. It says 28th on Wikipedia. Oh, Sam, you've definitely got our dander up now. It was going to be a bank holiday, but Labour said no. Oh, the tarts. It's not like they do an honest day's work, the Labour Party, Labour government, do they? Pop-eyed Wazza say happy birthday to your mum for us. My mum's birthday on Monday, 28th of April. Yeah, Garen, let's have it twice. Shall I do another live next Monday? St. Peter was a fisherman, Rev. He was. Right, let's just pause for something here. No bank holiday for VE Day 2, says Ray Norton. According to church rules, any Saint's Day falling in Holy or Easter week means the week after Easter fortnight. Moves to the week after the Easter fortnight, usually to the first Monday. More than one source reporting it. Well, Alan, you slacker. That's what we'll do. We'll have St. George's Day because we're allowed to, because it's April 23rd, and then we'll do it again on April 28th. Should we do something different next Monday then? Should we have another live? We'll do Sunday and then we'll do Monday. Because we can. Mind you, I'm not buying fish and chips for £14.50. They can had away and shite. Or in the words of the great Chinese philosopher, they can foxtrot Oscar. But can I just can we just get into the Pope, seeing as we're Louise, it is April 23rd. It definitely, absolutely, categorically April 23rd. But I think Sam and some of the others have done the research, and according to Google, if it's too close to Easter, because it does say in the good book, "Hold no other gods but I," except the Pope. I'm going to get into him, technically speaking, in a second. Lauren Taylor, I think you're speaking for quite a few people, Lauren. Sick to death of the Pope. He was 88, for God's sake. Stiff at last. It's what he would have wanted. There you go. Stuart says, Alexa says 23rd. So if they're moving it, if they're buggering about with our lives and our calendars, well, they can. We shall do St. George's Day again, Monday, 28th of April. What did the Pope actually do? Well, next to nothing, unless he was shagging the choir boys. Easter moves because it uses the lunar calendar. I know that Easter is it 4 new moons after the turn of the year. Speaking of the Catholic Church, it's all gone quiet about young Adolf. Is that who we're talking about, Adam? Archbishop Vigano has been commenting on the death of the Pope, and I agree wholeheartedly with him. What's he said, Les? Come on, cough. What's he said? Easter moves every year. Yeah, it depends on how many new moons there have been. So this is the deal with the Catholic Church. You've heard me say a few times that I believe the Pope was dead, because there is a papal prophecy. And the papal prophecy is this one, the one that snuffed it, carked it, this parrot is no more. He's the penultimate Pope. And they're saying the next Pope is going to be Peter of Rome. Now, I've checked all of the runners and riders of the new Pope, and I know they've got to go into the conclave. Have you seen the film, by the way? Because I thought it was magnificent. I thought it was wonderful. I'm going to watch it again. It kind of gives you a real deep insight into what's going on. No shagging, obviously, in the movie, but there is a Pierre or Pieter cardinal. So I was Paul McCaughey, who's your money on for the new Pope? Well, I'm just going by the papal prophecy, which says that the next Pope, the last one, and I wonder why it's the last one. Are they setting us up for aliens in 2027? Because if you think about it, if aliens pitch up and we kind of go, little green men, flying saucers. Hang on. So religion's a bunch of shite then? Because they never told us about this. And neither did Jesus or Yahweh, the Christos. Welcome, Tocker 69. Des Ashton, the Pontiff Maximus is the de facto emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. I know the Roman Empire just evolved into the Roman Church. Cardinal Sarah seems okay. Who's Cardinal Sarah? So what happens after the next Pope dies? We all convert. Well, he's 80. If Peter of... Let me go through what I've got. So the Catholic Church is evil. I can say that because of the things that they've done in the past. They're evil. You know that I'm a bit of a fan of the Knight Templars. To be fair, Burlington Bertie says, I want the Ghanaian bishop that used to play guitar in a funk band. He can play some Cool and the Gang on the balcony in front of the White Smoke. Now, that would be cool. What are the betting odds? I'm not sure, Disaster Area. I did... On my phone, I kind of go... I'll go in and go, what's the betting odds for the next Pope? And then I get blocked. If it's on the Wi-Fi, it gets blocked. And I've no idea why it gets blocked. I'm not even a gambler. I gambled a long time ago in 1980, and I haven't since. That's 45 years. Lauren Taylor says, I'm an agnostic, not a bloody clue. Umbongo. Cuban Pete, you're wrong. I see you. Russell Brand. Yeah, he's a man of the cloth. He can sling his, throw his hat into the ring. Must be one of those diddy parties using loads of lube. Catholic Church is split between good and evil. English bottle cap. Malachi meant after the last Pope, the Church would revert to pre-Nicaea doctrine. Well, the Council of Nicaea, they took books out of that. They decided they weren't going to allow, because you know it's God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Now, we're not talking about a bottle of stuff. We're talking about, well, the Catholic Church used to have meditation and used to have kind of spiritual stuff, and then the Council of Nicaea. Oh, no, we'll take all that out. Oh, no, don't be silly. I mean, it's almost as if they, divine intervention, blocking the Wi-Fi, says Alan. It's almost as if they won't even admit that the Torah is at the front of the bloody Bible. The Catholic Bible. But it's the Ethiopians that have got the better version of the Bible. So that Council of Nicaea has a lot to answer for. So this is the deal with the Catholic Church. They give you access to God. So they're the middleman. But how can they give you access to God, seemingly? Because if God is omnipotent and omnipresent, God is everywhere and everything, and you can access God just by sitting still. You don't even have to go to church. It says that in the bloody Bible. But these clowns, kiddie fiddling scum, they go, no. If you want to access God, you have to come through us. Care to make a donation? Yet, Yahweh, Jesus, whichever way you want to pronounce it, and it was Jesus of Nazareth. He only became, I think he was the guitarist in Nazareth. Jesus of Nazareth only became the Christ when he ascended, or he died on the cross and ascended. He only became the Christ. So when all these ne'er-do-wells are trying to act clever, they don't even know what they're bloody talking about. Paul Morton, I'm Brian, and so is my wife. Des Ashton, by buying a papal indulgence. Yeah, money talks. So back in William Tyndall. William Tyndall was a very clever boy. He translated the Bible, because the only way that you could get access to the Bible and or God was through the Catholic Church, through the vicars. Andrew James says, to get closer to God, just tell the wife she can't cook. That's probably funny. No, I'm not that brave, Andrew. John 14:6, English bottle cap. Nazareth, fabulous band, Alan. So William Tyndall wanted to give access to God through the Word of God, even though it is it's a human construct, the Bible. Any word of God is a human construct. And Yahweh, Jesus, Jesus, if you will, he said, you are God. That's like me and you. Now, I know Brian Clough was, but me and you, gods? Do we get freebies? Free gold or something? Soul Rebel. William Tyndall. I've watched episode 1 of Wolf Hall. Tyndall was in Wolf Hall. Great series. So Tyndall believed that if he translated the then version of the Bible from the original Aramaic and Greek and Latin, then it was from a ploughboy to a king. Anyone could access God via the Bible. The Catholic Church were a bit pissed off with him. Oh, you can't do that. That's heresy. What do you mean, heresy? I'm just giving people access to God via the Bible. And he translated it all. So you know how Jesus walked on water? No, he didn't, because the translation from Jesus walked on water, on and by is the same word. So actually, that little miracle wasn't a miracle. He was just walking by the Sea of Galilee. And I have been to the Sea of Galilee and I've bathed in it. But with religion being a man-made construct, I'll tell you this, religion isn't God. They're telling you that you can only get access to the grey-haired bloke with a big beard and the harp and the white cloak and the wings and the halo. You can only get access to him if you believe in the Catholic Church. And it's the King James Bible that the Catholic Church turned around and says, yeah, we can use that one, that version, because that's a kingly version. Except 75% of the Old Testament and 85% of the New Testament was translated by William Tyndall. So William Tyndall was put to death, burned at the stake for heresy, and yet the Catholic Church and the King James Bible is the majority of his translation. How does that work out then? You can't tell them, well, that's heresy, you can't do that, and then all of a sudden the translation is his translation. That's why they shag kids, man, Catholics, vicars. Oh, and by the way, I will give you this evidence. I will give you this evidence. $600+ million in compensation in North America because of abuse by Catholic vicars. Over $600 million in compensation. There was that many people abused by Catholics, clergy. Over $600 million. The Catholic Church had to stump that up, and they've done nothing about it. Mind you, Church of England wasn't any better. They caught somebody and they didn't do anything about it. Jesus says, you come to the Father through me, not the flipping Pope. I agree with you, Alan. I'm not sure that Jesus was a bit of a potty mouth, though. Cuban Pete hits the nail on the head. All religions are bollocks, I'm afraid. Des Ashton says, come on, Jesus, you're so cool. Walk across my swimming pool. I might drown. So the Christian Bible, this King James Bible, has the Torah. It's got Judaism's good books in the Old Testament. How does that work then? Jesus was a rabbi. He was Jewish. So the Catholic Church appropriates a rabbi, appropriates a Jewish man of a rabbinical family, makes him Jesus, and then one of his disciples who follows the Jewish bloke, the rabbi, around a bit and has dinners with him. They create a whole church out of Rome because Peter and Paul, without Mary, decided that Vatican was it. Vatican City, it's its own state, own army, own state. There's Griffiths. I have a King James Bible and it's shite. Me too. So there's because the Pope is no more. So people are saying, oh, you have to speak with an undercurrent of reverence. Well, not if chief paedophile couldn't stop other paedophiles in the Catholic Church from actually abusing our children. That's why they paid over $600 million in America. What? I see you, says Italian Jewish God. Des Ashton, priesthood celibacy enforced by papal bull to prevent claims on property by descendants. Well, they spunked 600 million in North America for all the kiddie fiddling that the perverts were doing. But do you know that the Pope, Frank, I can call him that, he's dead. Can't libel a dead man. So Frank, you know how God is a vengeful God and says you can't bloody worship any other gods but me. Otherwise, I'll smite you down. I'll send plagues of locusts. I'll do all kinds of shite that you can't do because I'm omnipotent. But this Pope, because he's a Sunderland fan, by the way. It's Sandra in the house tonight. He's a Sunderland fan because somebody, he must love a freebie. It's a bit like Starmer. Anything for a freebie. Somebody went to Vatican City and gave him a Sunderland shirt. So he held the Sunderland shirt up, bit of a footy fan, held the Sunderland shirt up, click, 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 went around the world 5 times before he put that shirt down. But there is a God. So Romans just literally would worship anything, like thousands of gods. Andrew James, don't forget, priests do love a bit of cocaine. Is that the Eric Clapton song you're talking about, Andrew James, to get us out of legal trouble? Les Griffith says it's academic. If the toolmaker's son has his way, we will all be forced to follow the mental midget. They've all got little man syndromes. So this particular Pope, who tells you via the Bible that you can only worship one God, the Pope can worship more. A, because, well, it's Italian, and B, he's the Pope, so he can do whatever he wants. So he brought a South American idol into the Vatican. It's called the Pachamama. Pachamama sounds like a funky band that you might play bass in. He brought Pachamama into the Vatican. So it's not do as I say. It's not do as I do. Sorry. It's do as I say, not do as I do. So he was telling you, the Bible says, no, you can't. You can't, because God will be upset. That's God that's omnipotent and omnipresent, everywhere and everything. And it means that you and I are a fractal of the ineffable experiencing itself as consciousness. And these toe rags in Italy are turning around saying, no, give me your money. And yes, we'll 3 Hail Marys and we'll absolve you of all sin. Didn't work for Hitler, did it? Well, it did. They got him out of Germany. And at their door, you can lay this at the Catholic Church door because it is fact. They used Catholicism, the Catholic Church, Vatican City, and Italy to get the Nazis out of Germany via the Catholic Church in Italy through into South America, where they set up shop. The Catholics, the popes. Fact. Do your own research. It's a fact. I'm not making this shit up. It's a fact. So I'm not. We've got the. It's like anything, I suppose. We've got the popular vote. Yeah, let's have the Ghanaian. He plays in a funky band. Yeah, it'd be brilliant. I mean, we had Jim Bowen as Pope, and nobody won a speedboat, did they? He never once said, "Here's what you could have won." Des Ashton, arse, feck, drink. Yeah. Catholic Church, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Bend over and touch your toes. That's the Pope, evidently. Father Ted died on the Titanic sub. The rat line, says Vix Tex. Yes, I agree with you. It is fact. I mean, you've got Grey Wolf getting Hitler and Eva Braun out into Brazil and various places. Chile, I think they eventually settled in. Can't beat a bit of bully, says Stuart. But the rat line got, some of them stayed, but if you look at how things have been going with Joe Biden and other notorious people, they're getting actors in masks, man. I mean, the last iteration of Joe Biden was about 1.5 feet too tall. Joe Biden wasn't even that tall. And then if you look at it, you kind of go, ooh, what's that in the back of the neck? Is that a mask? So the Russians said, oh, yeah, we've got the bones of Hitler. Yeah, we got the bunker, but the bunker was set on fire. We got some bones. That's Hitler. And then when they tested it, because the Russians were laughing, saying, can we test it? Oh, yeah, have the bones. Yeah. Comes back, female. Well, that might have been Ava. No, you said that was Hitler. Oh, we might have made a mistake. They just mess with our noodles, man. They just lie consistently. This is the politicians and the ne'er-do-wells, because I believe that evil perpetrates as goodness. And it's not goodness, it's bloody evil, abjectly. What about the disturbing frieze in the Vatican meeting hall? Which one's that, Les? I mean, I've been around the Vatican. I've been to Vatican City, had a wander around, and it was heaving. We got there really early, like stupid o'clock, to try and beat the crowds. And we had a walk around. We had a bit of a guide who was taking us around, and it was all, yeah, great works of art, yeah. Oh, I see that. And she said to me, you see that painting there? Who's those 2 blokes? I said, this is one Da Vinci. Oh, how did you know that? Well, you've just asked me. Yeah, but most people don't know. I said, well, it's easy. And I can't remember who the other one was, but I gave her that one as well. Not that I'm trying to be smart or anything, but it literally was like crammed in the main body of the church, main body of the kirk. It was just, oh, blimey. So I will speak respectfully of the Holy See, but they're not stopping the Catholic clergy from messing with our children, are they? Well, get your house in order, because you're not going upstairs. He might be downstairs going, bloody hell, it's a bit warm down here. I mean, I know I survived the Italian summer, but this is a bit warm down here. Yeah, well, should have done more while you were Pope, you're wrong. Who's Angela Merkel? Who is she really? Are you trying to insinuate, Les, that she's Hitler's daughter? Stick a moustache on her, see if she looks like him. Because that's the problem, though. He was very clever, Hitler. When anybody looks for him, they look for that little moustache. He didn't have that moustache originally in World War One. It's only when he came up through the ranks. And now, if you would look at a picture of Hitler without the moustache, you would go, doesn't look anything like him. Very clever. Very clever. Mind you, didn't Spitting Image have Hitler living next door to Margaret Thatcher? Ah, right. Is that one of the banned words, Les? Okay, Don, I know who you're talking about. You can kind of go the German. I'll know who you was. What you're talking about? Yeah, English bottle cap. I know he was an artist, a complete artist. No, Andrew James says this is at Stuart. Jim Bowen was only 44 when he first did Bullseye. Keanu Reeves is now roughly the same age. Richard Wilson did One Foot in the Grave at the same age. Wow. I mean, are we just better pickled nowadays? One of them, Adrian, she has a sister. Oh, Les. Hang on a second. Didn't they say that he lived until, was it 64 or 65, 1964, 65, and he fathered 2 daughters in South America? Oi, 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 oi. Fill the van. Absolutely. You're making me burst me incontinence pants. Could have been worse. You could live next door to Starmer. Oh, can you imagine Lord Ali coming round? Hello, darling. Popeye Wazza says 1963, I think. I thought it was 64. I know it was before the World Cup when we spanked the Germans. Lauren Taylor, we came out of the crypt thing. I said it's a load of crap. It was snowing. Oh, is that Vatican City? Anyway, let's get... I watched PMQs today. No, stop that, Les. Email me the picture. So, yeah, there is a, can I just say, a political movement that if you mention them on the telephone, GCHQ go, oh, we found one, and it's got the letters 18 in it, because after his initials. Stephen Lewis was only in his 30s when he first appeared as Blakey. Reg Varney was about 50 odd. No, wow, that's mind blowing, because that's half my age, and he looked older than me. Les says, yep, he was also pictured on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, slim and minus the tash. Did he climb in and ask Liz for a fag? Rather live next door to Alice. Oh, I'm with you, Garen. Des Ashton, Gregory Peck cloned him in The Boys from Brazil. Wow. Les Griffiths, he was also a coprophile. So I hear. But then again, he only had one bull, and he was into all kinds of shite. Just in case nobody knows what coprophile is. Coprophile. Clive Dunn also looked much older than he was in Dad's Army. And was it Wilfred Bramble who played Steptoe? I mean, if you look back now, they don't look old, really. But when we were watching them at the time, you would think, oh, they're really old. A bit like, what's her face from Coronation Street? Jean Alexander, the character she played. You always think, gosh, she's ancient. But in real life, she wasn't at all. I want to get on to Starmer, then the local elections, and then the use of tasers in prisons. That's going to be trialled. I want to talk about chemtrails because they're sticking it right up us. Bunch of bastards. And Klaus Schwab's being sacked. Oh, I wonder why that is. Well, we'll have a discussion about it in just a little while. Because I did tell you he was resigning. He wasn't going to resign until 2027. And, Adrian and shite, man. They've got a new leader. So we'll talk about him in a second. But I want to talk about Starmer. I mean, Starmer the Patriot. He's at it, Starmer. He's at it. And let me tell you, Sir Keir Starmer is the kind of guy that would eat a Mars bar upside down just to feel the veins on his tongue. I'll wait for you. Klaus has been cloned, possibly. But the new boy is 80, so he's not going to last much longer unless they're just getting it to 2027 and then he'll step aside. Hilda Ogden, thank you, Alan. Brain not working tonight. Eva Braun supposedly left Hitler around 1954, moved to Neuquén with their daughter Ursula. Uschi. Really? But she was in South America with young Adolf. Gail Platt was in E.T. That's very unfair, Phil Levan. The guy from New Order was married to Gail Platt. No, Phil, where are you getting that from? No, she was married to one of the boys from the Black Stuff, the actor, black curly hair and moustache. Yeah, let's look. Starmer wants to retake the flag from the far right. So we're all far right then. Anybody that has an English flag, far right. Stuart says, Christ, I'm not touching Mars bars again. Well, we're going to have two references for Mars bars tonight. Stay with me, because I think you might know the second one. Hartnell was the best Doctor Who. Agreed. Starmer dragging us back into the EU. What a copwomble. Agreed, Alan. So he's selling off our fishing rights so that we can rejoin Europe. So the Europeans, look, I'm telling you this now. All we need to do is to say to the French and the Germans and the Europeans, you can foxtrot Oscar, because you come into our waters, we have the Royal Navy, we will bomb the shit out of you, and then see whether you like it or not. Because Ursula von der Leyen, bitch, is not even elected. She's imposed on us. And they can't turn around and go, oh, well, it's European law. Foxtrot Oscar, we don't care. We're fighters in this sceptred isle. We'll just get the lads together. We'll get a couple of cars full of me family from Sunderland, and then we'll go and take Paris in the morning, and then we'll kind of donder up to Germany and go, right, Fritz, mate, do you want to fight? Because you're shite at it. You lost the last 2 world wars against us. Want another one? And Ursula von der Leyen, here, come here, twat. You, off you go. If you want our fish, go and swim with them. I mean, Starmer, is he? He's just kowtowing. Les Griffiths. Mick Jagger carried Mars bars with him. I know he did, Les. That's going to be the second mention. We'll get to that in just a little while. But it's... So I'm going to quote Starmer, because he says, we're the never-ending fight for the flag. Which flag? Because... from what I remember, the Pakistani flag's green. Which flag is he fighting for? Just come out. Say it. Just say it. Are you an Englishman? I don't think so. You're battling for some other side. And to quote Starmer, the flag must be taken from those who want to, and I'm quoting, sow division in our communities. I mean, I don't know which communities he's talking about. Is it the Northern Rape gangs? Because I'm telling you this, it's not the community that I'm coming from. I doubt that it's the community that you're coming from. because we're not sowing division, and diversity is not our strength. It's not. We are so respectful in this country. That's how they can get away with it, because they know that we're respectful. Yeah, I am watching it, Hayden. You're saying it's buffering, but I'm hoping that it's not. We're still online, but I will keep an eye on it, Hayden. Thank you. Les Griffiths, good job they weren't Toblerones. Those that know will get the gag. So I think what's going on with Starmer, the globalists are absolutely creaming their pants. They're shitting themselves because they know the game's over. It's up, it's over. But Starmer, because he loves WEF and Davos, and because he hates the English with a passion. He wants to be really clever. He wants to be seen as a real intellectual. He wants to be seen as a shaker and a mover on the world stage. He's about as much a mover and a shaker as a fat lad running around trying to pick up the Mars bars. So the WEF elite are changing course to keep control. And after the riots, so, Starmer came out and said, after the riots, we showed what it meant to be English. No, we didn't. We'd had enough. This man believes that the way we are responding to him and his party, he believes that we're good English people, we will do as we are told, and if we don't do as we are told, we'll end up in prison. He believes in free speech, remember? And remember, Starmer the Harmer, what would he know about being English? He wants to be Chinese Communist Party. He wants to be Chinese Communist Party, and he wants to be controlled by WEF. And then, there's Griffiths. Adrian, who is there to replace him? Name 10 serious members of Parliament. Guy Fawkes is the only one we need. The Labour Party, Ginger Growler, not in a month of Sundays. There's too much in her closet, so to speak. Not that she's going to come out, not that kind of out, but, tens of thousands of pounds being given to her by Lord Ali. You're saying far too funny things that I can't repeat because it's just, honestly, I'll just end up just laughing for the next hour or so. Brilliant. Clint, Lord Jim Dandy. Hayden says, Ali wants to free Starmer sausage. Rishi claims he's English today on Twitter. People saying Andy Burnham. All right, let's tackle that elephant in the room then. Andy Burnham, Mayor of Manchester. There was a poll, I think on Sunday, that had him at 13% and the other intellectual pygmies at no more than 5%. So there's a lot of people saying Andy Burnham. But I saw a live interview with Andy Burnham where the interview got into Andy saying, so tell us about this money that's been sloshing around and what did you do with that? And Andy Burnham literally shit himself on the spot and goes, no. So I'm not sure that Andy Burnham would step up because there's evidently something somewhere in his background. Just get the police vetting unit to have a look. It won't be Ginger Growler. It won't be Rachel from accounts. It won't be Wes Streeting. It won't be David Lammy. That boy couldn't be any thicker if he put more weight on. Broad in the beam. Alan, Lammy can't get through the front door. He's a bus wreck, that Andy says. Pop-eyed Wazza. A disaster area. Ginger Growler's closest. I know, but can you imagine? It would be like having somebody from a council estate stand there at the dispatch box. It's bad enough with clowns. It's bad enough with Rishi reckoning he's English. He follows the Hindu religion. How can he? Well, I suppose. Andy Burnham, as Griffith says. Have you seen the state of Manchester? Correct. John Healy. Ooh, good shout, Sam. Diane Abbott. Wouldn't be able to add it up quick enough. Burnham as bad as the rest of them. So I want to relate to you what happened at PMQs today, because it was just it's just scripted pantomime. Kemi not good enough is exactly that. Manda Sky says, I thought Andy Burnham is never in Manchester. Ooh. Well, you've got Ed Millipede. David Millipede is in America. I don't think he's going to give up his nice life that he's got in America to come back and deal with that shower of shite in the Labour Party. But English bottle cap. Did King Charles put anything out today for St. George? And if so, did he also mention Scotland, Wales, Ireland, etc., and the other communities within this sceptred isle? No, he didn't. I think they're just kind of using the Pope. Dead. Good day to bury bad news. Because like the Sun yesterday did like 10 pages. Mind you, the Sun over the last 2 days has done 4 pages on bloody what's-her-face getting diddled by Achy Breaky Heart. Is that a story? The front page of the Sun today. Oh, Mary what's-her-face, Freddie's ex-bird, selling a load of his stuff off. So the sister of Freddie had to buy all the stuff for 3 million quid. And didn't tell Mary that she was buying the stuff. She got her son to do the bidding to buy the stuff. I mean, this is the front page of the most popular newspaper or populous newspaper in the country. And you just think, this is news? No. And they'll put some bird on the front. Because then men will go, oh, I say, rather good on the eye, easy on the eye. Des Ashton says the desire to hold the office should disqualify you from ever doing so. Perfect. But then Kemi not good enough. She stands up today, and I just want you to give me your opinion in the comments about this particular scenario. So him and her are having an up and down, up and down, up and down. And then she goes, blah, 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 blah. He won't do that. He hasn't got the balls. And you can literally hear the whole of the chamber go, oh, did she just say that? And then the speaker didn't jump in and go, here, not good enough. That's not good enough. What are you talking about? That's just disrespectful. They just let it go. And then there was like little titters. You could hear them thinking, ooh, young good enough. Not good enough. You've just say that our Prime Minister has no balls. Tickle, 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 tickle. So I waited for him to stand up and absolutely rip her a new derriere. And what did he do? Labour Party, £22 billion black hole, 14 years of Tory rule, oh shit, I don't know what to say, oh shit, she's got me, oh shit, I've got knee balls, oh shit. And I'm watching this thinking, mark me, she's absolutely landed one on you, big lad, from what I hear. And you definitely have not got any sphericals. She's just told the world that you've got no balls, or balls if you're from Scotland. And the reason I use that is because it's probably one of the banned words on YouTube. But he never, I mean, can you imagine a cook, as in C-U-C-K, cuckold, short for cuckold. Can you imagine somebody, a cuckold, standing up going, she's only the leader of the bloody Tory parties. It's one of the parties that the majority of the people in this country bloody hate because of what they've done to us for the last 14 years. So go on. It's political jousting arena. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's getting a bit ribald. So come on, Kia, mate, get stuck in. And he's like, Des, stop that. Des Ashton says, Nutless in Downing Street. What a great title for a movie. But he just didn't do anything. He just he obviously either wasn't listening, and he should have done. He doesn't have the balls. Quote, that's going to reverberate for weeks and months, and especially around the local elections. He doesn't have the balls. Brilliant. But as Lauren Taylor says, how the hell do we get rid of them? Election. They're not going to last beyond 2029. We've got to hope that they're, how can I say this? The stuff that we know that we can't really repeat because it'll get us into a shit ton of trouble. Beata says, she's so dull to listen to. I know. That's why I call her Kemi not good enough, because she's not. God, you see, I'm getting a bit aerated here because I was watching it. And while I was watching it, I was thinking, oh, come on, man. Get in, you're a bloke. Don't have her call you that, nutless. And he just didn't. English bottle cap. Was it recorded in Hansard? Oh, you can bet your sweet Bippy it was. Can you imagine? He doesn't have the balls for posterity forever. Hansard's been going for hundreds of years. Is Lord Ali pad like Elm Guesthouse? Paulie Galtieri. No, I'm sure it's only the politicians, not the showbiz people, that get access, so to speak. I'm not quite sure what you're saying, Phil Levan. Anywho, EE. Right. Oh, yes, I'll tell you that before I get into other stuff. So, after Sunday and Monday, I wasn't happy that I allowed them to wind me up. So I thought, right, I'll ring them tomorrow. So I'm there. I'm thinking, right, let's get into them. Ring them up. Hello, my name's Adrian. Oh, hello, Adrian. Can I take your customer number? Oh, not sure about that. Can I take your address? Ding, 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 ding. Adrian, we don't have you as an account holder. I said, no, it's the wife, but I'm a husband. Ah, yeah, you're not the account holder. I was like, hard away and shite, man. And the worst thing was, it was a fucking Geordie that answered the phone. I said to him, are you a Geordie or Sunderland? He says, he said, no, Newcastle. I said, oh, I think this is going to be quite a challenging phone call. And he laughed. He said, why, are you Sunderland? I said, yeah. He said, well, should we just be pleasant to each other? I said, well, we haven't done that for over 100 years, so why should we start now? So, personal trainer, Big Mike, evening Adrian, evening personal trainer. And so I said to him, I said, look, I've got a bit of a challenge. This is what's happening. We've been customers for a month now, and it's the equipment's not fit for purpose. Oh, why is that? So I explained to him about the live on Sunday and me not getting any broadband back for 77 minutes. And he's, oh, that's not great. I said, no shit, Sherlock. And then I go and do a live on the Monday night, and it drops out again. 10 minutes before I'm going to do the live. Why is that then? He's, Lauren Taylor, do you think they know how much we hate them? Oh, yes. They don't care. They don't care. Oh, Popeye, why has I never thought about that? You should have said you're trans straight, though. Straight through. So he was trying his best. And I said, look, I've had a woman on the phone who checked remotely that everything's working in the house. And she said everything's working. Well, I hate to tell you, it's not. So because the equipment's not working, then it's not fit for purpose. And because it's not fit for purpose, it means that the contract that we signed is null and void because it's not fit for purpose. Oh, no. We'll sort it. We'll definitely sort it. And he said, what we'll do is, can we send a code to your wife? I said, she's working and not available until 5 o'clock. But if she can get to her phone in the next 5 or 10 minutes, we can get through that way. She passes you the code. So I texted you, Mrs. Allen. She's in the middle of a very important meeting that was going on for hours. And she didn't get it in time. So the challenge is that EE is actually BT. because they've amalgamated, seemingly, and this new equipment that we've got was supposed to supersede BT, the speeds, and the stuff that it was more reliable, seemingly. So I said to him, look, if you can't do anything, we need an engineer out. I'm going to wait until my wife is back home, and then we'll call again. And you can send her the code, and I'll call again, and we'll sort it. But what it's going to need is you're going to need to send an engineer out, because the last one that came out put the main hub in the room that the main hub's in, and the 3 relays that have been put around the house don't work. He said, oh, yeah. Well, I've had personal experience of the relays not working. I said, that's fine. So it's shite then. Everybody agrees it's shite. I said, but if I go and do my live tomorrow night on Wednesday night and it drops out, I'm literally going to hunt you down like a rabid dog. Because this is not on. We were promised and told it was faster, more stable. It was everything that we needed. And it was like a one-stop shop, and it's absolutely not. So I'm probably going to ring them on Saturday at the weekend when I get time. I'm touching wood and touching cloth that this works. So that's the update from EE. In a word of the great Chinese philosopher, absolutely shite. So Starmer is I don't think he knows. I think it was Lauren that asked this. I don't think he knows how much he's hated. The Labour Party do, because they'll be doing focus groups in the background all the time. The Jacobite. Hi, Adrian. Really enjoyed the quiz last time. Can we have one next bank holiday, please? Yeah, we'll do that on the 28th. We'll do another one. I might do music and or movies. And yeah, we'll definitely do that, Jacobite. I'm sorry, I'm working on 4 different levels and looking at 5 different comments. So yes, I think hang on, next Monday's not a bank holiday, is it? When's the next bank holiday? May 1st. My diary's on my phone. So yes, next bank holiday Monday, we'll have another quiz, because everybody, a lot of people said very kind things. They really enjoyed it. We need to do more and do them when it's kind of... There's only so many times we can get stuck into these idiots, these clowns in London. May 5th. Okay, so it's a week come Monday. Thank you, Louise. Right, so Monday, it's St. George's Day, seemingly. Fact. We'll do something else on Monday, because it's bank holiday, St. George's Day. And then the following Monday, it's a bank holiday. We'll do something for that. And I think there's a couple of bank holidays in May. So yes. Ray Norton says, I use power lines with Wi-Fi. Generally works all round without any dropouts. There's been dropouts today, but I rebooted the main hub to see if it just needed a reboot, and then everything would be connected and everything will be okay. So fingers crossed. I want to talk about something serious. And the reason I want to talk about this is because there's political will behind it. Somebody somewhere is making a shed ton of money. May 5th, the missus' birthday. Do vampires have birthdays? Depends how much blood you give them, Les. The quizzes are great. Escape from all this bullshit going on in the world. It's nice to have some escapism. Right, we'll have a bit of escapism. Next quiz, we'll do something on Monday, but we'll conjoin music and film for May the 5th. Put it in your diary. Now, I am presuming, although I haven't corroborated this with the Telegraph's website, because you've got to pay to get on there. But the UK government, that's this Labour government, that's Keir Starmer, the Harmer, they have plans to chemtrail the UK. the UK population. You know who that is, don't you? Me and you. Now, that's according to today's Telegraph. Andrew James, no Richard Thompson questions, please. Agreed. And even now, Andrew, hardly anybody knows what we're talking about. So according to today's Telegraph, good day to bury bad news. There's an old boy in Rome, carked it. So seemingly they want to chemtrail me and you, the whole of the UK's population. Why? They want to try some experiments to dim sunlight to fight global warming. I mean, there has to be, I don't know who's behind this. I have a pretty good idea, Bill Gates. I don't want any of this. American chemtrail pilots have been put on notice. Really, Les? Ray Norton says they've been doing it for years, Aid. Yeah. Guys, that's funny. Starmer spreading his seed again. I'll take that. That's funny. Plans. They have history. I mean, the northeast of England isn't the warmest, but sometimes the sunshine is beautiful. And I'll go out and it's beautifully sunny. A crisp spring morning, I think, at the moment. We're not quite into summer, but crisp spring morning. And within an hour and a half, I can see the bloody planes in the sky. I can see them seeding the clouds. And then within an hour and a half, it all goes grey. And like today, that's the reason why I didn't go down to London for the St. George's Day March. Because it was hoying it down. It was lashing it down. Stair rods, cats and dogs. Not having that. And then I thought, do you know, call me a cynical old tart, but I thought, it's been beautifully sunny for the last 10 days or so. And on April 23rd, St. George's Day, it rains. Didn't rain on Monday when London Mayor Carnage wanted to have St. George's Day and £14.50 for fish and chips. Comes to our day. Rich says, put your tinfoil hats on. Well, the thing is, though, Rich, we've got to get to the bottom of this, because I know that the political will can say, right, you voted us in, tough. You're going to have to vote us out. But until you do, we're going to do what the hell we wanted. Sam says The Simpsons did it. Des says it's not paranoia when the bastards are out to get you. Infamy. They've all got it in for me. So, Paulie says, serious question. Who's had a muggy, achy head today? Pressure behind the eyes. Interesting. Has anybody, serious question from Paulie Galtieri, who's had a muggy, achy head today? Pressure behind the eyes. Anybody else? Hang on. Kate Webster. Thank you, Kate. Good to see you in the body of the Kirk. But if isn't this conspiracy thing where they have to kind of tell you what they're going to do before they do it, so there's no bad karma, they're not going to go to hell. But according to today's Telegraph, experiments to dim sunlight to fight global warming. Now, I know that once this live's finished, the AI in YouTube will put notes on this because I've mentioned those two words. Global warming. It's going to be given the green light by the government within weeks. So they're telling us before they get there. Burlington Bertie says, I get those symptoms a lot, even with alcohol. Rich says, have you been sniffing pens again, Les? I mean, the problem is, it doesn't matter who you vote for, the government always gets in. And that way, they just do what they want. They literally don't care. Look, if they're going to send your kids to war, and I do believe that Sir Keir Starmer should show the colour of his sphericals. YouTube's 20 years old, says Disaster Area. Still can't get it right. How does the idiots charge up the solar panels then, says Martine. I scared millipede, because, seemingly an intellect. I've defecated more intelligent stuff than that, man. Kate Webster. Adrian, I was just testing to see if you can see my comment because they are getting shadow banned. I have some info. Oh, Kate, can you email me the stuff? Because I kind of get what you're saying, and I do know that there's nobody touching anything here whilst I'm doing this live, and they don't like us telling the truth to each other. That's why, like late night phone-ins, you don't have them anymore on commercial radio. Why? Because they don't want a community of people informing other members of the community. I know that Les, some of his comments are being censored, so I don't know what is going on. But Whitewater says, will the people in this country eventually storm the Houses of Parliament, or do we have no backbone? Can you remember the film? Oh, man. The film was about a little computer. Oh, man, come on. Kate Webster, no, I get it totally. What's your public email, please? It is jousting arena, all one word, at gmail.com. No, not war games. No, not war games. It was the little computer. Wally. That's it. Wally. That was, and I know you're probably going to laugh, but it was such a, thank you, DC. It's such a profound movie because in the movie, the human beings lost the use of their spine. They didn't need a spine because they were sat in a chair on the computers or watching the telly all day, all night. That's all they did. And little Wally was trying to work stuff out. And I remember the kind of cartoon characters saying, oh, we don't need a spine because we don't really walk anywhere now. We just sit in front of the computer and we play games and we do this and we do that. And I thought, wow. That's a profound movie. Yet everybody thinks it's a movie for the kids. Kind of cartoony with cartoony characters. But it was the human beings not having a spine. I thought, prediction for the future. So the UK government, where is Waldo? Well, he had 6 days away. Oh, by the way, knock, knock. Who's there? Inquiries into rape gangs. Inquiries into rape gangs? Yeah. Remember that? I'm just here as your little aid memoir because none of the mainstream media are talking about it. No one is talking about it because everybody is trying to get first. The news cycle, it's ours. First. The daily newspapers won't report it because they're being told, if you report that, we'll pull the advertising. So can you remember when they broke up for Easter? The clowns. They broke up for Easter, and on the day they were breaking up for Easter, 45 minutes before the end of that parliamentary term, they announced that they weren't going to hold the 5 inquiries that was going to cost £5 million. They were putting the money elsewhere, and they weren't going to have the inquiries into the northern rape gangs. Remember that? Everybody has forgotten. That's how it works. That's how they manage the news cycle. So you will forget, and I forgot until I was thinking about doing this live tonight, thinking, is there anything that I've forgotten? Bugger me! Yeah. The inquiries into the rape gangs, 5 of them, £5 million. There'll be barristers and lawyers weeping into their champagne, going, oh, there's £5 million down the Swanee. But why was that? That's a very good line. If Charles Bronson was ever released, I think he'd lock himself back up. Des Ashton, Black Rod seems a bit limp these days. Blue pill. Manda Sky, yet they resumed on the Saturday for the steelworks. Well, that's why I keep saying to you, I believe that Starmer's marriage is in trouble, because at the beginning of him becoming a raconteur and a politician on the world stage, he said, I was clocking off Friday night for Shabbat, because his wife's Jewish, she's a liberal Jew, as are his son and daughter, so they're not going to do anything on Shabbat, on Saturdays, and that's fine. But then he starts holding all these meetings on a Saturday. He starts talking to anybody that'll listen on a Saturday. He leaves the marital home with his kids, seemingly, and goes into Parliament, or goes into 10 Downing Street, or goes to meet this, or goes to Ukraine, and does that. When at the beginning he said maybe that they decided to negotiate that he would have 1 day off a week. Ray Norton, thank you for that. Airport 2 back in court in August. What's happened with... let me just make this note so I won't forget. Anybody know what happened to that councillor, the Labour councillor, who was making signs at demonstrators? Has he been to court or not? Les Griffiths, I wonder how his wife feels about him championing Islam. I know. And DC says that's why he lost it when Kemi said today, you've got no balls. I mean, it was cruel, but funny as, because he didn't have anything. He didn't. He was too busy reading his notes. And Kemi thought, I'll get him. And she did. Cuban Pete, no, I don't want anybody to second guess anything. I want the process of law to complete that we can't speculate. The process of law has to complete. Can't speculate at all. Ricky Jones, still on bail awaiting court. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. But what they're doing is they're running the news cycle quicker and quicker and quicker. And you'll notice the first week that they were away, the newspapers were having to do stuff that they should always do, which is journalism. Because you'll now know, because it's starting to ramp up again, that the government of the day are literally, not only are they getting stuff into the dailies, they're keeping stuff out of the dailies, and that reportage and news cycle is down to them. When they're not around, because they don't have stories to get them in the press, then it just goes back to good old journalism. And the journalists didn't know, well, bloody hell, what we're going to do? What kind of stories are we going to write about? Oh, you're going to write about Liz Hurley and Billy Ray Cyrus shagging. That's front page news on The Stun. Hadaway and Foxtrot Oscar. That's not news. I mean, how old is she? 70? Nice dress back in the 80s. Be like pulling a cheese toastie apart now. Les Griffiths. He has balls, just not his own and not in the correct place. Teabag, anybody? But it's that little spat at the dispatch box is going to last for weeks and weeks and weeks, because he's not going to forget it. So we've got some of the trials that are ongoing that they want us to forget. We've got the 5 inquiries into the rape gangs in the north of England, and the 5 million quid has been appropriated elsewhere. They want us to forget that, and everybody has. Sorry, Les. Burlington Birdie, cheese toasty, yum, yum. Celeb Big Brother, the cover at the minute. I know, Ray, it's done. Celebrity Big Brother's jumped the shark. It's like, it's not for me. I stopped watching it as soon as the characters left, and then Daley Thompson left, and I just thought, no, I'm not being forced to watch utter drivel for the kids. So they're very clever operators. They're getting to learn how to run things. They got rid of their head of communications. There's another head of communications in number 10, and they're being very, very clever. So you've just got to know what they're up to and the shite they're trying to pull. What was Starmer's AIDS test results after? Phil. Everybody asked, why would he take an AIDS test? Well, there's two reasons. One, the jibber jabber. Research is coming out. That's how. And secondly, certain communities are rife with it. Thank you, Rich. YouTube studio managers blocked words in chat and comments. Oh, Jesus. That's why I can't monetize these lives at all, because I'm using words that they don't like. So I just decided I would rather get the truth out and rather have a community around truth and understanding than try and get them monetized. Des Ashton says, nuts on a wall, walnuts. Nuts on a chest, chestnuts. Nuts on a wanker's chin, my balls, your chin. Blood transfusion was another reason. Yes, there was a few, but it was just random that he had an AIDS test. So maybe it was that, rather than the video that Jim Davidson's had to come out and say, no, I never said that. No, I never said that. But what you've got to ask is, why is that in the news cycle? Because I believe that there are dark forces within the Labour Party that actually want rid of Starmer because he's toxic. And they know, come the local elections in May, that there's going to be blood up the walls. It's going to be a night of long knives politically, because the local councils are going to be decimated because people have had enough. Reform. Let me get these figures out of the way. Reform are absolutely killing it. So the latest voting poll. This is the question. If there was a general election tomorrow, how would you vote? Number one, Reform with 25%. Next, the Conservatives with 23%. Next, joint second, Labour with 23%. And then fourth, Lib Dems, 14%. They're an also ran. So you're looking at Reform and Conservatives taking nearly 50% of the vote. That's if there was a general election tomorrow. So this is for the local elections, obviously. I'm going to give you the numbers for the seats. So let's have a poll to see where you are, to see if you're still in the same place you were maybe a few weeks when we did this last time. Empty chair party and vote them all out. Restore your democracy. Says Schaffeltier. Did I pronounce that correct? Schaffeltier. First timer. I've definitely not pronounced that name before. So if there was a general election tomorrow, would you vote 1, Reform? Would you vote 2, Agincourt, Conservatives? Or would you still stay Red, Labour? 1, 2 or 3, Reform, Conservative or Labour? If there was a general election tomorrow, who would you vote for? Oh, don't you worry, Schaffeltier, so long as I've pronounced it correctly. Bloody hell. Wow. Ray Norton says 4, the Donald. Dreamer. See, it's all Reform. Les Griffith's not happy, doesn't want to vote for any of them. Andrew James says 1, but it would still be a wasted vote. So there's quite a few people saying none, but the majority, I would suggest, are Reform voters. And I would, again, taking the latest voting poll, Potwide Wazza, 1, Ant Middleton. Is he going to run for London Mayor? Isn't there a rumour that Mayor Carnage Deborah Hart, interesting. Vote English Constitution. Wasn't there some guy from English Constitution on Andy the Gabby Cabby's live last night? I think he's got a 90-minute video with a representative from the English Constitution. Go and have a look. Andy the Gabby Cabby's, obviously when I finish, it was a Graham Moore English bottle cap. When a party has to pay someone to join, it isn't a legit party. No, you're just subscribers. So the majority of the voting went Reform. There were no Conservative votes in this poll, and there were no Labour votes in this poll. So how that would translate, Reform would end up with 201 seats. The Conservatives would have 157 seats. And Labour, 129 seats. So as I predicted last year, if Reform can do it, you've got Reform from nowhere. People have had enough, vote them in. Labour's finished, done, finished. The Conservatives, they're going to need a new leader. They're going to need someone that's, what can I say, a little more charismatic than Kemi not good enough. Thank you, Stuart, as always. Les Griffiths, hundreds of thousands of pounds for a prominent figure. And Deborah Hart says they have been chemtrailing since the 60s, but since 2020, it has been accelerated. My only concern about Farage, he's in the pocket of Donald. And the Donald has always wanted to get his hands on the NHS. Now, I wish Donald Trump a long life and good health, but he's coming up 80. Can he keep going? Does he wants to do a third term, which would take him into his mid-80s, late 80s. Well, interesting point you made, Dreamer. Hopefully Robert Jenrick. Now, he did an excellent video on X today about what it meant to be English. Beautiful. It was beautiful. Rich says, my missus works with local government. The sitting councillors are scared about the Reform results. It's their own stupid fault. It's all corrupt. The political system is corrupt. From whether it's nationally or locally, it's all corrupt. And it needs to be cleaned out. Now, I know that Donald tried to drain the swamp in America. And they knew what he was doing, knew what he was trying. And he didn't know what the system was because he's not a career politician. But now, after his first term, and then having to suffer the next 4 years under President Shitty Pants, then he's just gone in and he's just gone, oh, here, I'm not mucking about. And neither's Barron. Did you see that clip of Barron Trump going over to Joe Biden saying, it's on, and then walked away? And his mother Melania had to say, now, Barron, play nice. Because I think Barron is a little, I think he's made of sterner stuff, and he's his dad's boy. English bottle cap. Google Maps Street View reveals when chemtrails became prevalent. Wow, when was that? English bottle cap. And do you know, Des Ashton's just hit a very poignant nail on the head. They're not trying to improve this country. They're managing its decline. They can't manage the square mile, the city of London. They can't, because that's where the money is. And that is its own, like the Vatican City, its own independent state. Go and do your research. Own police force. You can't do anything in there unless they know about it, because that's where all the money is. And that's why the Americans borrowed the gold bullion from the square mile to stick it in Fort Knox to tell everybody, oh, don't worry, yeah, we've got the gold bullion. Yeah, we got it. Brilliant. And then they'll just take it back and stick it back in their vaults. That's where all the money is in this country. It's in the square mile, not in Parliament. Just idiots. So I think the political system has to be, Lauren Taylor, interesting, that none of the above ain't going to change anything. Stop it. Nothing can be as bad as we have now. But as I've said, Les Griffiths, London Mile, Vatican City, DC. Agreed. But as I'm talking to you now, please remember, because be careful what you wish for. Brexit. I voted to leave the European Union, and it was down to one thing. Every year, and I was living in Scotland at the time. Every year, York would flood, Carlisle would flood, the north of England would flood, and it was because we weren't allowed to dredge our rivers. That's because some crested newt might have died out or something, according to the Europeans. So we couldn't dredge our rivers. And since 2016, we've been allowed to dredge our rivers. 9 years on, and how many times has the north of England flooded? Correct. So, well, not as bad as it used to anyway. So York's safer, Carlisle's safer, the historical centres in the north of England are safer. It's a very good point, Des. Difficult to remember you are draining the swamp when you're continuously fighting the crocodiles. Wow, I heard they airbrushed chemtrails into the film Jaws to normalise it. And Alan makes, again, a very good point. People talking about chemtrails were laughed at for years, and now here they are reporting about it. So there's nothing that let's just broad brushstroke, let's just call them CIA conspiracy theorists. The conspiracy theorists have never been wrong. Paulie Gallieri, Klaus Schwab under investigation by WEF. Why, Adrian? Oh, fan my brow, Paulie. I told you last year. Let's get the Schwab. So, as I've repeatedly told you, and when I told you the reason, for the first time doing these lives, I got pretty nervous because I know how powerful they are, and spouting this that I spouted last year, I'm going to have to find a way around it. So Klaus was accused of inappropriate behaviour. Not going any further than that for legal reasons. And there were 6 accusations. And without me telling you, you'll pretty much get the gist. So there were 6 allegations. And then Amalia Grassi. Let me just fill Amalia in. She's obviously missed a bit. Hope you didn't fall asleep, Amalia. I missed something. Who's reporting on chemtrails? The government, the UK government, plans to chemtrail us. That's the UK population. Me and you, everybody else. According to today's Telegraph, experiments to dim sunlight to fight global warming. It's going to be given the green light by the government within weeks. So not only are they not telling us and then telling us, they're just going to go ahead with it. I was in today's Daily Mail also. Not my copy of the Mail. I didn't see it in there, but it's definitely in the Telegraph. So somebody asked about Schwab. So Schwab had 6 inappropriate behaviour allegations against him because it was coming out, and it was not out. It was just coming out. And obviously, I'm monitoring everything all the time, all day, every day. And then suddenly, it's not 6 allegations. Amalia says, Klaus Schwab is skin-crawling subspecies. It's written all over his face. Sorry, its face. Have you heard of something called the Left Eye Club, where they get a black eye for some inexplicable reason? And some people are saying, oh, it's because they're they are not aliens, lizards. And Reg D, very good point. They forget those responsible for chemtrails will also be affected by them. So this Left Eye Club, they're getting black eyes. They're this new boy for WEF. All of his left eye is bloodshot, like really bloodshot. So he's either burst some his incontinence pants, or there's something going on. Where's Manda gone? Yeah, reptiles. Vrils. Very good, Les. I'm with you. So he had all these allegations against him. But then the PR spin started and they said, no, he mentioned something about someone and she wasn't very happy and compensation's been paid. So that's a non-story and it's not in the news anymore. And you know when your gut tells you, your instinct tells you that there's games here. There were 6 allegations and they've disappeared. And then one allegation appears on the horizon. It's only racism. Des Ashton says they're all jockeying for position on their greasy pole, backstabbing their way to the top of their tree. Well, this new boy is the former chief executive of Nestle. He's called Peter Brabeck-Letmather. I'm hoping I've pronounced that correctly. He's 80 years old. And Schwab has had to stand down with immediate effect. So I think the original allegations that were made summer of last year might actually be true. And they've investigated them and they found that it could be greater than or something's going on with it. But Klaus Schwab resigning with immediate effect on the same day that the Pope falls over off his perch. That screams to me that it's being managed. So this Peter Brabeck-Letmather, 80 years old, he's Austrian. So where do they go? Do they go to the Bond baddie central casting in LA and say to them, oh, have you got another Austrian? We need another Bond baddie, please. So this Peter Brabeck-Letmather said in 2017, and I quote directly, humans have no right to access free water. I'll say it to you again. In 2017, it's only 8 years ago, humans have no right to access free water. So it's yet another Austrian sounding like a Bond baddie that's going to take over WEF. Do they do it on purpose? Ray Norton says it's Donald's game of 5D chess. Yeah, and he's a genius at it. Well, if you think about it, Les, the Pope going, because he was communist, and now Klaus Schwab going, he's communist. So the Communist Party are not having a great week this week. Pop-eyed Wazza, lizard depictions, drawings in caves with humans. I know. Wait till they bring the aliens out. In a Game of Thrones, you win or you die. Oh, I say, Des. Hang on, Vixtech says, oh, the cleaning house. Oh, they're getting ready. So the last week or so, I've just been trying to feel my way into what's going on because something really weird is happening. And I think Vixtex is getting there with this. They're cleaning house. But why? And what house? So the Europeans that were dyed-in-the-wool communists, Marxists, socialists, they're now not. But what they're doing is Starmer, that treasonous bastard, technical term, in my view, he's selling off this country. So we're not allowed to drag coal from under the ground, which is there, and we can. Les Griffiths, and Moab reportedly incoming next week. What, alien? Pop-eyed Wazza, water's not free, but should be. I completely agree. Show Feltier, conspiracy realists. I'm with you. And I've said all along about this channel, I don't want it to be just an echo chamber. But it's getting important that we suss what these arseholes are up to. Vatican Pope Francis, Jesuits Pope Francis was the first pontiff elected from the Society of Jesus. Yes, but there are 3 popes. White Pope, Frank, Black Pope, Grey Pope. The Black Pope has more power and influence than the White Pope. He's just the shop window. But the Jesuits, Ray Norton, Nestle used to give baby formula to new mothers in third world countries instead of breast milk. Des Ashton, graduates of the Tavistock Institute. And Les Griffiths says, they capped Britain's only 2 fracking sites, putting them permanently out of use. Because, look, China can use coal, but we're not allowed. They almost sell our steel industry to China and then pull it back at the last minute. And everybody's forgotten about the those islands that were flogging off a bit. Alan says, yeah, a bit like the Black Dalek. Agreed. So they're all at it. And I've told you the political system is not for the greater good. It's not for the benefit or the greater good of you and I. We vote these people in because they promised us. And I was going through my newspaper archive last week. And I've got the newspapers from around like the 2 weeks, which was they were desperately peddling furiously to get us to believe their lies. And I've got all the lies because they're in the newspapers. That's why they don't want me to have an archive. That's why people don't keep the archive, because they don't think it'll be worth anything. But now that they've been in power nearly a year, they're only a couple 10 months, I'm going to start regurgitating what they said in the newspapers in the 2 weeks leading up to the general election. And you can't believe how many lies came out of their shitty mouths. That's Starmer, that's Rachel Reeves from Accounts, and that's Ginger Growler. And I'll quote them directly, and I'll take pictures of what was reported in the newspapers and put them in the videos. So if you don't hear from me again, you know what's gone on. Same way as Dr. David Kelly. No, they've not got any weapons of mass destruction. He was Epsteined. Les Griffiths, nothing is as it seems, nothing. I agree. Cuban Pete, bastard lied and lied and lied and then lied some more. And now, when he couldn't answer what's a woman, he's not saying what a woman is. He's saying, I'm so glad that the Supreme Court made their determination. What? This is the Prime Minister, supposed to be the superior brain in this country. And he is saying, thanks to the Supreme Court, I don't have to identify what a woman is. He's just a joke. And is Kemi not good enough? I mean, she's literally putting the knife right in him. That was a political assassination today. And people will look back on it going, that was brutal. Because she was saying to him, you'll take the kneel for any latest fad. And that's before she got saying you've got knee balls. I was watching this for the first. I'm normally bored witless by it because it's scripted. But today, oi, she probably got stuck into him, which is why they've gone up in the polls. She gets it. He's got nothing to come back with when she's saying to him, you'll take the knee for any passing fad. Oh, that's brutal. Kaz says you should monetize those videos that way they will be fully funded. We'll try. And English Bottle Cap's is on the same wavelength. David Kelly and Robin Cook, because Robin Cook went and signed the treaties of Nice and Rome with Tony Blair. And Tony Blair was put into power, A, because they could control him. Charles Linton, Bow Street Magistrates. Google it. They could control him. They could control his wife. She loved taking a shower with another woman, Carol Kaplan, and that was all over the newspapers. And I read the newspapers thinking, so hang on a second, is she having her back scrubbed or is she scrubbing somebody else's back? If you catch me drift. And so they could be controlled. And Blair had one job only, to get us into the European Super Union, and we couldn't get out of it once he'd sorted it. So Robin Cook and he went and sorted the treaties of Nice and Rome, and they both allowed any amount of people to flood into this country from across the Channel. And that's what the treaties of Nice and Rome were meant to do. Blair got us ball deep into Europe, and we couldn't get out until Cameron, I mean, I still can't work out why he did that. Thank you, Alan. Really appreciate it. I don't know why he did it, but he gave us a free vote. We knew where it was going to go. They didn't. They just thought we'd do as we're told. We're not Charles Linton. We're not Sherry Blair. We're not these clowns. And as I've said to you before, these people only deal with really serious stuff so that you, me, you and Starmer, Ginger Growler and Rachel Reeves, they get stuff on the politicians because that's what the whips do. If they want people to vote a particular way, they just go to that particular politician and say, right, remember that cocaine party with Rent Boys you went to last year? Hate for that to come out into the newspapers because the politicians want the power and they want to be able to grift. So when they're told, here, unless you do this, we're going to have the newspapers find out, therefore the public, therefore you won't have, your grifting scams going. That's all Blair did. And yet, Robin Cook, Andrew James says, I thought Robin Cook was against the EU. Well, evidently, because heart attack out for a walk. He was as fit as a butcher's dog, that boy. And then, who was the other one? So that's how they are working. Whether it's Diddy, whether it's Epstein, whether it's anybody else, whether it's Israel or Mossad, they control people with sex and drugs and rock and roll. And they have the power and the evidence, and they just presented going, yeah, I'm watching this video of you banging some little rent boy the other day. Was that you? No, it couldn't have been me. Hey, do you want a copy? Stuart says, censorship overload tonight. That's, Rich says, chose your words wisely then. That's because, sorry, Stuart, that's because I'm talking about really important stuff here tonight, and dangerous stuff. But I'm not, legally, I'm staying just the right side. Brilliant, Burlington Bertie. Sex and drugs and rock and roll is all my brain and body need. It's very good indeed. Ian Jury, tell you, man was a genius. One of my favourite artists ever. So Schwab resigns, or it's announced that he's resigned on the same day that the Pope kicks it, shuffles it, off he goes. This parrot is no more. I said to you a couple of weeks ago, I think he's dead. I think they'll string it out and announce it at a particular time. So it's all down to the timing. As ever with anything in politics, they don't want you. All they want from you is ignorance. All they want from you is just you to not see it. It's not in any of the morning papers this morning, yet it was announced in the news cycle yesterday. Hang on, where are we? No, Monday it was announced. I told you weeks ago I thought he was dead. Because they will wheel out dummies. It's like Weekend at What's-His-Faces. Tom Harley says, see my tailor, he's called Simon. I know it's going to fit. AI being rolled out to cover up their sick crimes. Oh, it's AI, mate. Thank you, Paulie. Ian Jury, there ain't half been some clever bastards. I agree with you, Alan. And What a Waste is simply one of the greatest pieces of prose set to music. It's just wonderful. Stuart says, I found out on Instagram that the Pope had gone. I mean, they're now saying in the newspapers, he said to his carer, oh, thank you for wheeling me to the square. Deborah Hart, nailed it. They're hoping we forget 2020. I'm never going to forget it. Is this the end of the beginning or the beginning of the end? I think it's the end of the beginning. I think the Agenda 2030, Committee of 300, there's so many. And now that WEF have got the former CEO of Nestle, and do your research, but I'm telling you, he was part of the Bilderberg group. Nestle had attendees at the Bilderberg Group meetings. And I do believe that they will try, that they want a one world order. That's never going to work. The human spirit, me and you, will always fight to our death. We've had friends, relatives, people special in our lives that were affected. English bottle cap, Nestle ruined Cadbury's. Agreed. I've not eaten there. I mean, my type 2 diabetes stops me, but I don't eat chocolate anymore. But they had to. They've obviously looked at succession and decided that he was going to be Klaus Schwab's successor. And Schwab is just a puppet. He's just the front man. The people that you have to really worried about are those people that never come out of the shadows, ever. Too much power, too much money. They're never going to come out of the shadows. And they've been manipulating it this way for 50, 100 years. Lauren Taylor says, my heart is breaking. Do not put yourself in my situation. I remember we ain't thick. I know, Lauren. Alan Little, that's an amazing story. Spasticus autisticus. That's an amazing story if you know the backstory with the Enduri. Because they couldn't say to him, oh, you can't do that. You can't make a song like that. Oh, yes, I can. So I think that Schwab is being removed because he was going to do a retirement. And I don't know whether I said this on Sunday, but I saw a picture of 3 men in the picture. It was Klaus Schwab, Henry Kissinger, and Edward Heath. Edward Heath laughing his cap off. So if you look at these 3 men, they were all in the same boat. Pun intended. See what I did there? And Heath was laughing his cap off. He was the one that got us into Europe. And yet, the World Economic Forum was 50 years old recently. And I think it was it 1973 it started? And Heath, around about that time, was trying to get us into Europe and make sure that we didn't get out of Europe. Yet Cameron screwed it all up in 2016. They'll never give you that opportunity again. Look at Ireland. Ireland, we won a referendum and they voted out. And then Europe went, right, if you vote out, then we're going to take all the money that we're giving you free gratis. The tiger economy in Ireland, we're going to take all the money away. So we'll have another referendum. And if you don't vote the way we want you to vote, which is back into Europe, then we're going to stop all the money flooding in so you can all be impoverished potato gobblers. And the Irish went, right, okay. Yeah, so they voted to go back into Europe. They're never going to get out again. But it's like, if you look at the way that communities or societies have operated over thousands of years, they would put walls up so you couldn't get in, and they would fight you to keep you out. And it doesn't matter what the law says. The law is an ass. And if Europe go, well, international law states, pick up a fucking gun and bring it on. Because we're a fighting nation. We don't fuck about with anybody. If you want to tell us what to do and we don't want to do it, you know you've got war on your hands. Oh, no. We'll be polite about it. No, you won't. Pop-eyed Wazzy, you fat tart. I had 8 cream eggs. Well, you can describe one of them to me because I didn't. For fear of having a heart attack or a stroke. There's a gag there. I'm not taking it. Exactly that. Ted Heath and the Missing Boys. Oh, yes. Had his wicked way with him. And then chucked him overboard. In the English Channel. That's how there was never any evidence. Brilliant, Les. I mean, look, I heard the rumours a long time ago that Heath used to cruise around Soho with 2 other people, and I'm not going to name them. Both dead, but so he used to cruise around Soho with Lord Greville Janner. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to name the other person, but very well aware of their shenanigans and what they got up to. Cuban Pete. Did you have cream eggs or cream pies? Cuban Pete. Yeah, Deborah Hart, that was in 2017. I've actually got the quote here. In 2017, he said, and I will quote, Peter Brabeck let Mathe, if that's how you pronounce his last name. In 2017, quote, directly, humans have no right to access free water. This is how wars start. And I'm sure we won't sit back and take it by a long stretch. But the reason why I do these lives is to just, I love interacting with you. I love chatting with you because there's lots of really intelligent people. Jonathan King has a Rolls. Heath had a boat. Andrew James. And I'm not going to say the name because he's still alive, but there was someone who donated millions. He was the largest donator to Jonathan King's defense fund when he went to court around Rent Boys. Why would that be? Heterosexual, seemingly. Deborah Hart, same as royalty. So remember was it called The Big Short? Remember that movie about some really clever guy shorting the subprime market in America, and that's how 2008 came around. And he shorted everything and made hundreds of millions for his clients. Hundreds of millions. I mean, these people, they create money out of nothing. How do you do that? So he walked away with tens of millions and then put all of his a lot of his money into water. And I was looking at the end of the film because it's in the credits in the end of the film. And I thought, why would he put his money into water? Now you can see why. You not got water, you don't last long. Amalia Grassi, so many of them have a certain look. I've told you before about the photograph. Greville Janner, Michael Jackson, prolific abusers. Prolific. And there's another guy in the photograph that I won't name for legal reasons. But if you Google a photograph of Lord Greville Janner and Michael Jackson stood outside the Houses of Parliament because Jackson wanted to have a look round, and this third person was there with them. He organised the look round for Michael Jackson. You'll have to do your own research. He's still alive. He popped up over the weekend. And I thought, where have you just come from? Why are you popping your head above the parapet? My wise advice to him would have been, off you go, Bonnie lad. Andrew James, I thought there was no evidence on Michael Jackson. There is a book by a cleaner and a security person from Neverland, and they spilled it in this book, which is in my archive somewhere. Now, a lot of people will say, no, because there's hundreds of millions at stake here. Hundreds of millions. But there are people that have gone on the record saying he abused me. Now, so I'm on the side of the abused, not the abuser. Michael Jackson, talented artist. Something very dark about him. And I don't mean anything around skin tone. That's not what I meant. Andrew James, can you name the book? Oy. Off the top of my head, let me write it down. I'll find it. I mean, this is a book I've had since the early 90s, so the book is at least 30 years old. I'll find it. And Alan Little, yes, he is. You know, Michael's chimp Bubbles is still alive. Is he? Is he a West Ham supporter now? Just so he can go to the match and sing "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles." Confessions of a Neverland Worker. Kaz, is that it? Because it was the first time that I'd heard within this book that Jackson had pressure pads under the carpets as you lead to his bedroom. And his bedroom had actually another room within it that you couldn't get to. A bit like an escape room, a bit like one of those protection rooms where you get in and slam the doors. So if anybody was going to his room in Neverland, it would set off alarms in his bedroom. Right, we're going to wrap it up now, because I'm not talking with certainty. I'm just kind of saying to you, I've got stuff, but it's not facts and figures, and I always want to give you value around stuff. But if anybody finds the book, it was written by one of his security detail and one of the cleaners at Neverland, and they would find. I mean, he was a grown man, so he could do that, but he had kids over for sleepovers. And they could never find him because they were always in this inner sanctum within his bedroom. Dale, if I can, maybe they've scrubbed the internet because they sanitize it. But I will find it in the same way. I've got the picture of Diana in the car alive after the crash. Right, thank you everyone. If this was any value for you this evening, please smash the likes on the way out. Thank you very much for your kindness, those that have supported the channel. To everyone else that's been here and interacted, thank you. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. No live on Sunday, but I've got something else coming for you at 8 o'clock, which I know you will enjoy. And the next live will be next Wednesday. Be well, stay safe, and whatever you do, certainly on a Sunday and a Wednesday at 8 o'clock, don't forget the Battenberg. Yeah, wrong. I'll see you next Wednesday at 8. I'm off for a couple of liveness at a family wedding on Sunday. Very much looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an amazing day, and looking forward to getting together with all the family. Have a lovely evening. I'll see you for the next live next Wednesday, but there will be other videos coming. I'll see you soon.